Husker power. You ready? You ready? 3, 2, 1, go! Welcome to the Red Kingdom. Yeah. Red Kingdom. Welcome to the Red Kingdom. Yeah. Red Kingdom. Welcome to the state where we run it. If they really want it, the Husker Nation got them shaking. We great, feel me on this. Place Millie's on it. I bet the competition's no opposition. We come to Jake and we done it. Wild in the Midwest, loud cause we get that W. You're gonna see Nebraska bringing trouble to foes. Quick fled when the whole clique said holla. Go Big Red! Welcome to the Red Kingdom. Yeah. Red Kingdom. Welcome to the Red Kingdom. Here to stop us cause we born hustlers. Running through the op and leave them torn, flustered. Watch us bring nitro, got that team psycho in the spot of King ISO. All in the sea of red, gonna end this brawl, win and be ahead. Tremendous, spiking, blocking and dunking, jumping out the gymnasium. You wanna see the best meet us at Memorial Stadium. Red Kingdom. Yeah. Red Kingdom. Welcome to the Let's roll, baby.
Good afternoon. My name is Kristen Brown, and I serve as the Deputy Athletics Director and Senior Woman Administrator here at Nebraska, and it is my honor to welcome all of you here for this incredibly exciting occasion today. We have several special guests with us here today, but there is one in particular that I wanted to take a moment to recognize and personally thank, and that's Coach Cook. Coach, it has been an absolute honor to work alongside of you this past season. Selfishly, I'm a little sad that I don't get to work with you day to day anymore, although I think you've texted and called more in the past 2 weeks than you have in the previous 6 months combined. But no, thank you. Thank you for all that you've done for this program, for women's sports, and for me personally. It's been awesome learning from you and to be challenged by you. And I'm so happy and excited for you and for Wendy and your family, and I hope that you enjoy your well-deserved retirement. And I do hope that we get at least one last TikTok video from you. It's hard to believe that up until this point, there have only been 3 head coaches in the history of Nebraska Volleyball as a varsity program. But as we turn the page to the next chapter of Nebraska Volleyball, it is so incredibly fitting that as we celebrate the 50th anniversary of women's athletics here at Nebraska this academic year, and with today being the day that our department is celebrating National Girls and Women in Sports Day, that today we are welcoming home one of our own, Dani Busboom Kelly, as our new volleyball coach. As Coach Cook stated in his press conference last week, there is no greater achievement than to hand the reins over to the program to a former player. Dani embodies everything that is Nebraska volleyball. She understands what it means to wear the scarlet and cream. She bleeds Husker, and she knows how to win at the highest of levels. As a volleyball fan, I've watched Dani as a head coach from afar for several years. I very clearly remember watching her lead her team to an upset of Texas in the 2019 NCAA tournament. I have watched the relationships that she's built with her players, and you can see the connection that she has with her team. and you can very clearly see the confidence that she instills in her players by the way her teams play for her. And there's no greater example of this than the way she rallied her team in the semifinals and championship matches this year after losing one of her best players to injury. And so as Troy and I had the opportunity to sit down and chat with Dani as this process played out, and we got to know her and we got to know her vision, it was very clear that there is truly nobody better to lead Nebraska into this next era. Dani, I am so thrilled for you, and I'm so excited to welcome you, Lane, and my new buddy Boone, and soon-to-be baby Kelly, back home to Nebraska. And I cannot wait to work alongside of you as you continue to elevate this program. At this time, I'd like to invite to the stage President of the University of Nebraska, Dr. Jeffrey Gold, to share a few words.
Well, good afternoon and welcome. It's so great to be with you. And I'll tell you, when our athletic director, Troy, called me and asked me if I'd say a few words this afternoon, I was thrilled for so many different reasons, but mostly because we get to welcome an amazing member back to the Nebraska family. And as we know, there is no place like Nebraska, right? But also because events like this are not about us at the university, and certainly not about me as your president, but it's about the state of Nebraska, it's about Husker athletics, and it's about all of the fans that have supported this program for decade after decade after decade. It's about the young women who are seated here, who are the most amazing, not only athletes, students, and members of our community, who formed together what it really means to be the quintessential women's athlete of the future, without a doubt. But it's also a very bittersweet moment for me because over my months now, almost a year, that I've had the privilege of knowing and working with Coach Cook, that he is one of the most remarkable, giving, caring individuals, not just a great coach, but an incredible human being. And I only hope, John, that you stay close and that if there's anything that we can do for you, and of course I'm sure there's a lot you can do for us in the future, that we maintain that relationship, because it's really been a pleasure and an amazing journey together. Yeah, let's do that. Earlier today, I had a scheduled call with Commissioner Tony Petitti. Commissioner Petitti, of course, is the commissioner of the Big Ten Network system, that is, and of our conference. And, of course, it's now 18 schools that are in the Big Ten. I guess that's the new math, but, you know, who knows? It's not the math I learned when I was in college, that's for sure. But Tony and I were talking about the fact that this event this afternoon is the quintessential event of what intercollegiate athletics really stands for. It not only stands for excellence and incredibly high athletic performance, it stands for the very best of the strength and the breadth and the depth of academia, community service, and it stands for one of the most loyal fan bases in the entire country. And it all comes together right here. So I don't need to tell you about the credentials of our new incoming coach. I don't need to tell you the fact that she grew up in Nebraska, not too far from here, played for her high school. I know some of our high school friends are here. Is that right? Yeah. I don't need to tell you about the championships that this team won when she played for us. I don't need to tell you about the fact that she coached here. And I certainly don't need to tell you that her experience as a head coach has been nothing other than stellar. But I do need to tell you this, that there has never been a time of a smoother transition, a better selection, and a brighter future not just for Husker women's basketball and volleyball and football, but for the entire university and for the state of Nebraska. So as always, go Big Red. Thank you.
Thank you, President Gold. We appreciate your support of Nebraska athletics and especially the volleyball program. It says a lot that in the midst of board meetings this week that you and members of the board are taking time to be here today, so thank you. Next, I'd like to bring to the stage our Director of Athletics, Troy Dannon.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. The good news is when I'm done talking, we're finally going to get to meet Dani. But I wanted to take a few minutes to extend some thanks and some appreciation before I have a chance to introduce Dani. First, just be aware, it's pretty awesome what's in here, and all of you that came today. Do you realize that, as near as we can tell, if this was a regular season volleyball match, the number of people here would rank about 15th in the country for total attendance at a regular season match, just here for today's press conference. First, I want to take a minute to thank Dani's family, particularly Lane and Boone. Welcome you guys back home, but to your entire family. My guess is you're pretty excited, but I want to thank you for giving Dani to us. Lane, many of you know, Lane was a long snapper for the football team, and if you've been following NCAA rules, there may actually be some codicil that he's got eligibility left. And if you saw us last year, Matt Rule may be calling you, Lane. And Boone, buddy, you know, you're going to love Nebraska, but I will tell you this, Nebraska is going to love you a whole lot more. So I am thrilled that you're here. Also, the dude down here has got away with sitting down, but I'm going to be the third person that's going to salute John. I'm going to make him stand up and receive the recognition from all of us that he well deserves. John? I can do stuff like that now that he's retired. A lot's been written about John's legacy over the course of the last week since this announcement dropped, but I will tell you, it isn't the trophies, and it's not the wins. It is how he has led this transition really over the last 10 days, 2 weeks, and leaving a program not only better than he inherited it, but putting the program in a position to achieve even greater heights than when he led it. And so, John, that's what separates you from all the other wins and trophies that everyone else has, is how you've transitioned this program and made sure Nebraska Volleyball remains what Nebraska Volleyball is. Thanks, John. Governor Pillen is here today. I appreciate you, Governor. The Governor and John share a couple of bonds. One, they are great leaders. They are Nebraskans through and through. They're also horsemen, and they share a love of horses. And one of the interview questions, Dani, if you remember, do you like to ride horses? Yes or no? And she said no. And so that was a clincher for us. And so one of the bonds, Governor, maybe you should develop with Dani is take her advice on horses. Several members of university leadership are here today. You heard from Dr. Gold, and we just can't thank Dr. Gold enough for his leadership. Chancellor Rodney Bennett is sitting down in front, and members of the Board of Regents. And for all of you, for university leadership, if you look around, I think we need to thank you for empowering this, and your predecessors for empowering this, because it doesn't happen anyplace else. And so we really appreciate your leadership. And I want to extend a special thanks to everyone from the Freeman Schools, from Adams, Nebraska. So as near as I can, 604 is the population of Adams, Nebraska. There were 700 RSVPs from Adams, Nebraska for today. If you're going to pick a day to rob the bank in Adams, Nebraska, today's the day. But for the students from Freeman Schools, just one quick message. Dani sat in your desk, she walked your halls, she played in your gym. And what she has become is the dream of every high school student, to be great at what you want to be, and the opportunity came from your school. And so as you look up to somebody, always look up to Dani, because she is what we all aspire for our children. And I'm so very proud of her, and thank you for being here and being a part of today. And probably the most important thank you is for the volleyball staff and the 14 women in the locker room that are sitting over here. You know, they carry themselves with grace and class, on and off the floor. But the last week, 10 days, they've been put through stuff that it happens, right? But you don't want to see it happen. But how they have responded with that grace and class and presence. Everything that we see out in front is exactly what they're like behind the scenes. And I'm just so proud to be associated with their program. I will share one thing we talked about in the locker room, that the only thing that's unbeaten in anybody's life is destiny. And destiny puts the right people at the right place, for some reason at the right time. And destiny decided that it was this team that was going to navigate this transition, and that they would be able to not just survive it, but thrive within it. And so the last week has proven destiny again is unbeaten, because that's exactly what they're doing. Thank you so much. Appreciate you very much. Kristen talked about National Girls and Women in Sports Day. It is no coincidence, I don't think. It was the 39th National Girls and Women in Sports Day officially yesterday. Dani is 39. There's some synergy there. I've said this at John's press conference last week. If Dani was not a Nebraskan, if Dani did not play here, if Dani did not coach here, Dani is the right person to be the head coach in Nebraska. Over the last 8 years, her winning percentage at Louisville, second in the country. You know who was number 3? That guy right down there. She has achieved at an extraordinarily high level with a program that she virtually built. But besides that, besides the track record, I will say it's two things that for Kristen and I set Dani apart, and why this was a very short, brief search. And as the jeweler said, she said yes. But it was a very short search for two reasons. Number one, she bet on herself. She could have sat at the end of the bench and felt that the head coaching job would be an entitlement to her because of what she'd done in the past once John decided to retire. But she didn't. She left for Louisville. She built that program back up. She did what Nebraskans do. She went away knowing that she was going to achieve and she was going to earn. Nothing was going to be entitled and nothing was going to be given to her. She was going to achieve and she was going to earn everything that she wanted in her life. And hopefully, Dani, this is the end of that road for you, but I'm so proud of what you did to get here. And secondly, she's a winner. On this court, this very court, one of the reasons we didn't put the volleyball court down, I don't know if you recognize it, you won 2 state championships playing basketball on this very wooden floor in here. She's a winner. She's won at everything. Everything. And for those of you who haven't met Lane and Boone, I will tell you she wins at everything. There are 4 rules when you hire somebody. 4 characteristics that are absolutes. Number 1 is character. Number 2 is integrity. She has represented herself her entire life with character and integrity. There was no question that she brought those 2 things. Next was ambition. That was the move to Louisville. You want somebody that's ambitious. Well, you know the other thing? Hire a winner. Because guess what winners do? Win. And it was very easy for all of us to make the decision for those reasons. Now, add icing to the cake, she is a Nebraskan. She was a national champion as an athlete. She was a national champion sitting on the bench and coaching alongside John. And it is not lost on any of us inside the department. In this week of National Girls and Women in Sports Day, she is going to be the 4th female Husker athlete alum to be head coach in this program. Amy Williams in basketball, Rhonda in softball, Heather in gymnastics. That is remarkable, and it says such great things about the women in our state and the fact that they come back to lead the next generation of women in this state. The best program in the nation should have the best head coach in the nation, and the Huskers do. The Huskers did, and the Huskers do. Now with that, if you turn your attention to the video boards, there's a little tribute to Dani and her journey back home to Nebraska.
I was at the celebration in '95. I was at the celebration in 2000, just hoping one day I would get a chance to be up here. And we ended better than any other team in the past has. 17,000 fans, and it was unreal.
This is how the girl who grew up on a farm in Nebraska, who played and won a national championship in Nebraska. How does it feel?
Dani Busboom's volleyball career has been all about change. Back in high school, she moved to setter in her senior year to get ready to come to Nebraska. And now in her senior year at Nebraska, she was asked to move once again.
She was the first girl I ever saw that could do a fadeaway jump shot. And I'm thinking, wow, this is an athlete.
Clark out there, tons of energy. Busboom gets her second termination.
Well, she's going to rip through fingers pretty hard right there.
In 2005, she was a setter in a 6-2 system, and we lost to Washington. I knew we had to make a change and go back to a 5-1, and I brought her in the office, and I said, Dani, we're going to move you to libero.
My name's Dani Busboom. I'm a libero, and my goal is to be an anchor on ESPN.
I didn't see her for 3 days. I finally called her mom on the third day, and I said, Bonnie, had a bad meeting with Dani. She wasn't happy. I don't know where she is. I haven't seen her. She goes, she'll be in your office later today. So I'm thinking she's coming in to quit. She comes in with a letter, and this letter talked about she was going to do everything possible to help that team, whatever role that she was asked to do, she would do it.
Waller again sliding behind. What a get by Busboom to keep it up.
And she was a great leader, and that's when I knew she would be a great coach.
Was it easy to tell that she had coaching in her future?
No, it wasn't. You know, when she was playing at Nebraska, she didn't really talk about it that much. And then she got into the insurance business for a year or two, and then all of a sudden she was like, you know, I'm missing sports. And
alongside University of Tennessee assistant coach Dani Busboom.
Well, some changes are coming for the U of L volleyball program. In November, U of L athletic director Tom Jurich introduced the Cards' new head coach, Dani Busboom Kelly.
Louisville head coach Dani Busboom Kelly is back in her home state with an opportunity to win the biggest prize in college volleyball.
Everybody knows crowds can certainly help that. So hopefully they'll be cheering for us, and they want to see a fellow Nebraskan in the finals.
I'm just excited and just thankful to have the opportunity. And when we went back to Nebraska a few years ago, that was really special too. Just, you know, playing against your alma mater and a program that means so much to you, it means a lot. John Cook, the coach at Nebraska, mentioned my senior year, like, you should get into coaching. And I always had that in the back of my head that I wanted to try it. And it's funny because when I got my first coaching job, I told myself, well, I'm going to go for it. I'll see how I like it. But I also knew I would probably never get out of coaching. So I knew once I got in, I'd be in it for a long time. But it was really just a switch of positions and, you know, deciding that I wanted to get back to the sport and take it as far as I could.
Only in Nebraska would the retirement of a volleyball coach be cataclysmic news.
News that has shocked the entire volleyball world.
He changed the landscape of the sport, and he immediately turned the reins over to
Nebraska's already announced Cook's successor.
That time has now come, and the future is Dani Busboom Kelly.
She's done one of the greatest turnarounds in the history of college volleyball. 8 years, she's been to 3 Final Fours, played for 2 national championships. The fact that she coached here.
Off the block it up! They did it! Nebraska national champions!
The fact that she played here.
It's over! A slice of Husker heaven in Omaha!
She bleeds Husker.
I'm Dani Busboom Kelly, and there's no place like Nebraska.
As Lane and Boone come up to the stage, please welcome the fourth head coach in Nebraska volleyball history, Dani Busboom Kelly.
What a welcome. I haven't really been that emotional in the past couple weeks. I don't think I've had time to be emotional, but as I walked on this stage, that's when it started to hit me. So I'm gonna do my best to make it through this in a timely manner. But in the fall of 2003, I had been on campus for a couple weeks. It was the day of the annual red-white scrimmage, and it'd be my first time wearing a Husker uniform. And I was on the court to get some extra setting reps, of course. And I was just sitting down by myself in the middle, cross-legged, a couple tears. And I took it all in and couldn't believe I was there living a dream. An assistant coach came down and asked, what are you doing? I told her, I can't believe I'm here. Today, as I stand before you all, I'm incredibly honored and humbled to be living yet another dream. Nebraska is more than an athletics program, more than a volleyball program. It's a way of life. It's an inspiration. It brings people together. It's empowering, and it means more than words could ever explain. President Gold, Troy, Kristen, thank you for believing in me and trusting me to continue the legacy of Nebraska volleyball. It's been a crazy and hectic 7 days, but Nebraska always does it bigger and better. The attention to detail and the special care of this program always shows up when it's needed the most. This transition has set a new standard for women's volleyball, once again showing the world just how big women's sports can be. When I heard they were sending buses to Adams, I was blown away, and to see all the Freeman Falcons in the building is pretty incredible welcoming. And look at this place, the arena being full with 1,000 people at 2 p.m. on a work day, honoring a legend and welcoming a new coach. There's nowhere else in the world that this could happen. I might argue there's no other sport in the world where something like this could happen. It's my family. I mean, if you know Jean and Bonnie, you know they are the biggest supporters out there. I've already warned Lindsay to get ready for Bonnie and her request, gear, tickets, special seats, so just be prepared. But growing up, you know, they rarely missed a game, whether it was softball, volleyball, basketball. I can probably count on one hand the games they missed. And now they've been the biggest cheerleaders as my journey from Tennessee and back to Nebraska and everywhere in between, making as many games as they possibly could. Some of my old athletes be like, are your parents seriously driving again? I'm like, yep, they love to drive. That's a true Nebraskan. So they'll get in the car and drive anywhere. And to Lane and my husband, thank you for the unconditional love and support. A coach's spouse might be the hardest job in the world, but Lane makes it look easy. And I'm not just talking about the hours he spends on the golf course. But our lives started right here, from the days eating lunch together at the training table, and then Keith Zimmer having to separate us during study hall, and then Lane tossing me volleyballs, and myself attempting to catch his long snaps, We formed an amazing relationship with Nebraska athletics right in the middle. And fast forward to a couple moves across the country, and you pacing the corridor with fellow dads at Final Fours. I couldn't do this without you. And sharing these experiences alongside our growing family with you is more amazing than I could have ever imagined. And now being able to bring our son back into the Husker family and welcoming a new boy into this amazing culture of athletics is something so precious to us. And I'm already looking forward to the NIL deals coming across my desk from Coach Hoiberg and Coach Rule in about 15 years. In an interview, Troy said he was impressed that I bet on myself and said it again today, and I took a chance to leave Nebraska. The University of Louisville, Tom Jurich, Vince Tyree, and Josh Herds, they made it a layup of a bet, and Louisville became the best home away from home, and the support and staff of the university made that city fanatics. And everything I tried to do there is like, what can we do to get close to what Nebraska does? And I'm so appreciative that they gave us the support to do that and to help me in my journey to get back here. But the biggest thank you of all goes to John Cook. I've thought about our relationship over the years, from player coach, assistant head coach, to peer, to mentor, and of course, friend. There hasn't been anyone as steady in my career as you. So thank you a million times over for shaping me into someone that you could trust with such a special task. When Louisville came here in 2021 and beat the Huskers, I walked up to shake Coach's hand, but he immediately opened his arms and gave me a hug to tell me he was so proud of the way my team played. That's a core memory for me and just speaks volumes of how proud John is of his former players and always will be in our corner. But I can't wait to continue raising the level of women's volleyball in this country and, of course, hang some new banners in this arena. And I will do everything in my power to make you proud. As we start the new chapter of Nebraska Volleyball together, I want you all to understand the people in this program will do everything in our power to continue the tradition from Pat Summitt, Terry Pettit, and John Cook. Jalen, Kelly, and Lindsay staying on board is a testament that this program isn't and never will be just about one person. It's about this state. And we will work tirelessly for the people that love the Huskers. To the 2025 team, I can't wait to get to know you and work with you. We'll approach each day with fire in our bellies and love in our heart for everybody that supports us. John said it a few days ago, I'm gonna dress a little better than he does, and we'll probably have a little more fun off the court, but the core values and the mission behind Nebraska Volleyball will always remain the same. And thank you again, Husker Nation. This has been a homecoming fit for a queen. Thank you.
Thank you, Dani. At this time, I'd like to invite up Jessica Cootie, who's going to have a Q&A with Coach Busboom Kelly.
Wow, what an honor. What a great speech, too. I got to start because we've heard a lot about your position switch from setter to libero, and Coach Cook told the story so well last week. Give us your perspective of that, and why was that such a monumental moment and year for you and your journey?
Well, I was going to set the record straight, and then I knew you were going to ask the question, but I did not say those two words to John. Now, I think maybe he believes I did because he could probably feel it like permeating from my eyes and my body language. But yeah, it was a tough time in my career, and I had spent 3 years as a setter, and we'd been number one for pretty much the whole season for 2 of those years, and I felt like I had done the work. But I knew that for the best thing for the team was for me to switch positions. And it took a lot. He's true. I did sort of disappear. Now, it was Christmas break, but I think I turned my phone off for, it might have even been more than 3 days. It was more like five days. And I was like, I'm not dealing with this. But I came back and knew that this is what I had to do. And I'll never forget, I don't even know if John remembers this, but in the press conference during the red-white scrimmage, he said, I think Dani's going to be the best libero in the country. And to me, that's when I felt that confidence. I knew that team was going to be special, and I knew that I could do it for the team. So it ended up being great. It's what led me into coaching. I had my best year, favorite year at Nebraska was my senior year.
We've heard a couple times mentioned the group from Adams and Freeman High School over there. How did growing up there and playing all the sports there shape you into the athlete and now coach that you became?
Yeah, well, the population has grown quite a bit. I think, it said like 600. When I was in school, it was more like 450. So when you grow up in a town that's small, you're really everybody plays everything. And so you really get to experience so many different teammates and so many different roles, and you can pick things up from every sport and the roles you play and the type of teammate you have to be. And so I always encourage everybody to play as many sports as they can until that point when you're forced to pick one. But it was amazing, a high school career.
At what point did you realize it was a dream of yours to come back and lead this program?
Well, I don't think I'd have realized it was a dream. It was more realizing that this opportunity could actually happen. And I don't know if there was a moment that it clicked. It was more just the conversations I'd have with John on the road, the success we were having in Louisville. I just believed in my heart that someday that I'd get an opportunity to come back here. I didn't know when, but I knew that I would be incredibly proud and excited if that came.
He's told some stories about you here recently. Now that you're on the mic, do you have any stories you can tell us about Coach Cook?
I was trying to think of funny stories, and I'm going to save some of those, I think, to sprinkle those throughout the year. And since this feels like an emotional day, just one thing that, again, a lot of people don't know this, but my brother was in an accident where he fractured his femur and broke his femur. And John made it a point to drive out to our house and just sit and talk with him because he had had a similar injury. And that really, again, speaks volumes of how much he cares about his players, not just as athletes. And now that I have a family of my own, it's like that time is so precious. And for him to take that time to do that, looking back, it meant even more than I even realized at the time.
What were some of the lessons and philosophies that you took away from playing and then coaching with him that you applied to your own coaching philosophies?
Number one, I think you all know that John is a continual learner. He was like learning to fly at one point. Now he's roping, and he's always got something that he's learning to do. And that goes with coaching too. He's always sending assistants out and himself to watch other teams train and to take as much as we can from those people around us. And that's something that's, I think, allowed me to be the best version of myself. Is I don't know it all. I'm always looking and working to get better. And then one thing John always has done at an incredibly high level is let those around him maximize their strengths. And I think that's so important in the sport of volleyball. When you have it's a team sport, the ultimate team sport. The staff needs to be the ultimate team and model that each and every day.
What excites you the most about taking over this program?
Number one, it would be Husker Nation. That goes without saying. And just the support every day. And then number two, I think this team sitting right here. And again, I want to thank them for the support they've already shown me in 7 days. And I know this is a really amazing team coming back, and I couldn't be more excited to get in the gym and get on the journey to accomplishing our goals together.
You played here, you coached here, you went away for a little bit. What perspective did you gain of the support for this program and Husker volleyball while you were gone?
It's funny because it's not that I forgot about how crazy Husker fans are. but I think I had put it in the back of my mind. And so I'm sitting here watching this setup and hearing about the buses to Freeman. I'm like, this is a bit much, but it's amazing. And just the fact that Nebraska continues to elevate women's sports in this country and the sport of volleyball and giving us opportunities to do things that haven't been done before. And Nebraska's always in the forefront. And it's amazing to be a part of that.
Great stuff. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica, and thank you, Dani. I think I speak for everybody in the room when we say we are so excited and looking forward to the journey ahead with you at the helm. That concludes today's welcome event for Coach Dani Busboom Kelly. For members of the media, the press conference will begin at 3 o'clock in the courtside media room. To everyone else, the concession stand is open, so feel free to grab a snack and stick around as we air the press conference on the video board inside. To the team and immediate family, you're welcome to come up to the stage for some photos. But thank you all so much again for joining us today on an exciting day for Nebraska volleyball. Go Big Red.
Husker, power! You ready? You ready? 3, 2, 1, go! Welcome to the Red Kingdom. Yeah. Red Kingdom. Welcome to the Red Kingdom. Yeah. Red Kingdom. Welcome to the state where we run it. If they really want it, the Husker Nation got them shaking. We great, feel me on this. Place Millie's on it. I bet the competition's no opposition. We come to Jake and we done it. Wild in the Midwest, loud cause we get that W. You're gonna see Nebraska bringing trouble to foes. Quick flared when the whole clique said holla. Go Big Red! Welcome to the Red Kingdom. Yeah. Red Kingdom. Welcome to the Red Kingdom. Yeah. Red Kingdom. Welcome to the Corn Huskers. Nothing here to stop us cause we born hustlers. Running through the up and leave them torn, flustered. Watch us bring nitro. Got that team psycho in the spot of King ISO. All in the sea of red. Gonna end this brawl, win and be ahead. Tremendous. Spiking, blocking, and dunking. Jumping out the gymnasium. You wanna see the best meet us at Memorial Stadium. Red Kingdom. Yeah. Red Kingdom. Welcome to the Red Kingdom. Yeah. Red Kingdom. Welcome to the Red Kingdom. So who's next? Red Kingdom. Go Big Red. Red Kingdom. King ISO. Red Kingdom. 10, 9. Let's roll, baby.
Come a-running girls all around the world like a thunder in the sky. Come and sing along, we're Nebraska strong, and we wear the N with pride. Now in every sport, field, pitch, or court, Husker women lead the way. And so once again, we are about to win, and we're going to win today. In the days of old, Coliseum full, we'll just rock right with the band. And with Coach Pettit out in front of them, they would rise trophy in hand. And then Coach Cook too, with the chosen few, all Americans everywhere. And before they quit, they would calmly sit down below those banners there. For Nebraska and the Scarlet, for Nebraska and the Cream, though they go through many battles, our colors still are seen. And so in contest and in victory, we will wave them for the team. And we'll always stir a corn husker, the Scarlet and the Cream.
Gather around this table, boys. You bring your shame, I lose my voice. Screaming at the gods about the bad we've done. Merle said, Mama tried, but the prison still won. Your transgressions are mine as well. Anger grows in my bones if you could not tell. But I'll find comfort in company. Lord, forgive us, my boys and me. We're having an all-night revival. Some will call the women and some will steal the Bible. For the sake of my survival, baptize me in a bottle of bean for Johnny on the vinyl. Well, the devil can't scrap, but the Lord has won. And I'll talk to him under rising suns. His sun arose and mine did too. I was coming down, but now I'm talking to you. 'Cause we're having an all-night revival. Some will call the women and some will steal the Bibles. For the sake of my survival, baptize me in a bottle of bean with Johnny on the vinyl. So we're having an all-night revival. Some will call the women and some will steal the Bible. For the sake of my survival, baptize me in a bottle of bean for Johnny on the vinyl. Gather around this table, boys. Bring your shame, I'll lose my voice. Screaming at the gods about the bad we've done. Merle said, Mama tried, but the prison still won.
got a fire go down by the riverside. Sip whiskey out the bar, living like we'll never die. Come on and stay a while. If you don't believe me, why would I ever leave? 'Cause I know I got some good friends that live down the street. Got a good-looking woman with her arms round me. Here in a small town where it feels like home. I got everything I need and nothing that I don't. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. I got some good friends that live down the street. Got a good-looking woman with her arms around me. Here in a small town where it feels like home. I got everything I need and nothing that I don't. Everything I need and nothing that I don't. Homegrown. It's the way that you carry from the things you think you want. It's the way that you carry from the things you think you wear. It's you even carry on. It's the way that you carry from the things you think you want. I got everything I need, nothing that I don't. Everything I need, nothing that I don't. Everything I need, nothing that I don't. Oh, everything I need and nothing that I don't.
Hold on to me as we go, as we roll down this unfamiliar road. And although this wave is stringing us along, just know you're not alone. 'Cause I'm gonna make this place your home. Settle down, it'll all be clear. Don't pay no mind to the demons, they fill you with fear. The trouble, it might drag you down. You get lost, you can always be found. Know you're not alone, 'cause I'm gonna make this place your home.
Thanks.
Just a reminder, we have microphone holders. If you'd like to ask a question, please try to grab their attention and we'll deliver the microphone to you. And also, please state your name and affiliation before you ask a question. Coach, some opening remarks and then we'll take questions.
Well, I think you heard a lot of remarks out there, and yeah, I'm just, again, very humbled and grateful to be here, living another dream of mine to represent this amazing athletics department and this amazing state, and a place that just means so much to me and my family. So just really excited to get going and get in the gym for our first practices and get to know this team.
Kevin Suits with Channel 1011. Dani, welcome home.
Thanks.
How do you wrap your mind around everything that's transpired over the past week, and then even being welcomed here to the Devaney Center as Nebraska's head volleyball coach?
Yeah, it's pretty tough to wrap your mind around it. And like I said, looking at this stage, I was like, this is crazy. This is a bit much. And but at the same time, just it's an honor to be part of a place that cares so much about the sport of volleyball and continues to push the limits and shows everybody what can be done and that it works and people care. So again, really grateful, and just having John Cook around and being so supportive. It's meant so much and given me a lot of confidence, and just has made this transition seamless and exciting and not nerve-wracking or scary. So.
Coach Jake Bartecki out of News Channel Nebraska in Beatrice. First off, welcome home.
Thank you.
I got to ask, there's a lot of good things going on with Gage County right now in the sports world. You got Cam Jurgens in the Super Bowl Sunday, and now you're the coach here at Nebraska. What is it about that area that's led to so much recent success, and what is it about the Freeman community that means so much to you?
I couldn't tell you what's led to all the success in Gage County. That's pretty funny, but I feel like the people in Nebraska in general, in Southeast Nebraska, they love sports, and everybody does everything. It's a mixture of tons of small towns, and so I think there's a lot to be learned from that. And having Freeman here today is pretty amazing. It's funny, I was joking. They got out of school at noon, so of course they're all going to come. If they came, they got an excused absence. But just to see the support out there and hearing them cheer, and to know that they'll always support one of their own was a very, very neat moment.
Amy Jess, Lincoln Journal-Star, you touched on this, but when did it sink in for you that you're the head coach at Nebraska, and what are those emotions, and what has that felt like?
It's interesting because I hadn't been super emotional, or I don't know if it really has sunk in the last week that I was actually the head coach here. It's just like I'm so familiar with Lincoln and the athletic department. Troy was joking, like I'm more familiar with the people here than he is, some of them. So a lot of people are the same. Until honestly today, when I'm getting ready for this and typing up some remarks, I'm like, wow, I'm actually doing this. Like we're gonna do this, and just seeing the support and the excitement, I think that's when it really hit me that this is happening.
Dani, Lincoln Arneal with Huskers Illustrated. You came to town a couple weeks ago to watch that love match. Was that a pre-planned trip, and when did you realize that trip led to other conversations and more was at foot that weekend?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was really pre-planned because, I have two former players playing for the Madison team, and there was a schedule change, and the original game I was going to go watch them wasn't going to work out. And so it was like, this is the perfect time to go home and also see them. And it was kind of before the big recruiting rush. But it also was a little bit of fate, when I started talking to John, and he's like, oh, if you're coming in town, let's meet with Troy. And I was like, really? And so that's when I knew that John was getting more serious about retiring, that if he was going to go to that length, I knew it was getting serious.
Hi, Dani. Andy Kendi with KETV. So just take us through. So you meet with Troy, and then how quickly does this happen? And obviously, because of you wanting to be here, it probably ruins the negotiation. Can really drive a hard bargain.
True, but no, it was pretty quick, and I think John had a lot to do with that. Just his support and him, really feeling confident that I could do it, and I think he talked to Troy a lot more than I did about it, and. But it was pretty quick. We met on Saturday or Sunday, I don't even know what day. And then I think a few days later, Troy was like, so do you want to be the next coach here? I was like, well, yeah. I was actually in practice, and I stepped out to take the phone call, and that's when the ball really started rolling.
That's great. And a follow-up here. Obviously, expectations are sky high
Yes.
here. What are your expectations leading this program?
The expectations aren't changing. You know, our expectations is to be in the hunt to win the Big Ten and to be in Final Fours and winning national championships, you know, but I also, you know, want our players to leave here just loving the sport of volleyball and loving the game and, you know, be dying to play pro or coach or give back and have this feeling of that they're not burnt out. And so I think that the expectation is for these players to have an amazing experience, and usually that leads to success.
Abby Barmer with Husker Online. Obviously, a big key to this is that John is retiring. What was your reaction when he told you he was going to retire, and just how important has his impact been on your career as a player and now coach?
You know, I knew he was always thinking about retiring, but in the back of my head, I was like, I don't know if he'll ever actually pull the trigger, because he has such a great team and he says a lot. Like, this is the most fun I've ever had coaching. So for him to walk away now, I think said a lot about, you know, his family. Like, he cares about his family. He wants to spend more time with them, and the fact that he's confident and satisfied with what he's done, that he can walk away, and also the fact that he's going to still be a big part of this program and helping me, especially through this first season. I forgot the second part of your question. What's he meant? Okay. Yeah, just incredible impact. And, you know, I've been calling John for advice since my very first job at Tennessee, and he's helped me through a lot of issues, you know, at previous institutions or times when I didn't know what to do, and being able to have somebody like him to lean on, who's literally been through it all, I feel like, and been successful through it all, was just always really comforting. And again, for him to really put a stamp of approval on me just meant a lot. We had a lot of interesting times throughout our relationship, which we'll get to those someday, little by little, but sometimes I'm surprised he didn't kick me off the team, but you know, he always supported me, and this is just another step of that.
Hi, Dani. Lauren Michelson, KTV in Omaha. Obviously, I don't have to be the one to tell you you're taking over an outstanding team, but what's your message been to this group of young women throughout this transition?
Well, I haven't had a ton of time to spend with them, unfortunately, just with, you know, I came here to meet with them briefly last week, and then I had a family vacation planned right after that I, you know, really felt like I needed to go on before all this started. So I haven't had a ton of time, but mainly it's just, you know, again, what I said out there, that the values are going to stay the same, but there's going to be some different things that we do, and I'm excited to give them a little bit of change while also keeping so many things the same, because there's so many amazing things that have worked for so long. But to put a little spin on it will be a lot of fun.
Brent Wagner from the Lincoln Journal. Dani, what feels so unique about this for a first year as far as the potential to have returning players and returning staff?
Yeah, it really makes it like easier, for lack of a better word, on the head coach, because you have the staff in place. So immediately I can start right into the team and recruiting, and that's been a philosophy of mine. Is, you know, those two things always come first, the team and recruiting. So I don't have to worry about little things here and there, because I know the staff is taking care of that, and they're ready to work, and they want this team to be successful, no matter if it was John or myself as the head coach. And then just having the team coming back and being so supportive, and, you know, getting text messages and just seeing them, and I can like feel their smiles and excitement, and, you know, I know they're going to be ready to work and really enjoy a little bit of change.
Hi, Coach. Erin Sorensen with Counter Read. We talk a lot about how Nebraska is the epicenter of volleyball, not just at the collegiate level, but at the club level, pretty much every level, even now professionally. And for you being the first woman to lead this Nebraska volleyball team, what do you hope that can show all of the women across the state as far as what's possible for them, and maybe those little girls that are sitting in that crowd right now?
Yeah, what's amazing about our sport is the ball has already been rolling. You know, this year we had the first woman to win a national championship, and now you're seeing more women take over these historic programs and, you know, getting a chance to lead and to show that we can do it. And for me, it's more than just being a woman. It's just about, you know, we can be really successful and competitive, but we can also have great family lives and great lives outside of our sport. And I'm hoping to model that to them, that you really can do it all.
Hi, Coach. Adam Kruger with CBS in Omaha. When it comes to that 06 meeting with John, you know, it's been beaten to death. But what's the main lesson you took from that you hope can still apply to today's generation?
You know, number one, you know, the young athletes, when they're playing on their club teams and playing on their high school teams, to not just be obsessed with playing one certain position, and to be open to trying different things. You want to be the most well-rounded athlete you possibly can be. And then number two is, no, the team comes first, and the best teams and the teams that are winning national championships, you know, they have a selflessness about them that other teams don't, and that's why they're there at the end. And so you never know what's going to be asked of you, so you got to be ready for it and embrace it. And you picked the sport of volleyball, so you got to do what you can to give your team the best chance to win.
And a follow-up. Compared to Louisville, Nebraska does have higher expectations. Native sons, native daughters have come back, and it's been a mixed bag of goods. Did that make you hesitant at all to come back?
No, you know, if you start playing the compare game, that's never going to work. And, you know, this is different. I spent a lot of time away from Nebraska. It wasn't just a couple seasons that were magical. It was a long time, and I learned a lot, and that's what prepared me to come back and feel confident. Plus, this team is not or this program is not a case where somebody got fired or somebody is leaving in a bad place. This is a program that's getting left in an amazing position, and so no hesitation in that way.
Dani, Mitch Sherman from The Athletic. Personally for you, having taken Louisville to 2 national championship matches and having a growing family, where were you at within the window of opportunity where the timing worked for you?
You know, the timing is always hard, like leaving a place that you love. So I love Louisville. It's an amazing place to live and raise a family, and amazing athletic department. So I wouldn't say that the timing is ever perfect, but for me to be able to come home with a baby on the way, with all of our family here, and not gonna lie, my husband might have been freaking out a little bit thinking about 2 young kids without any help. So it was, you know, a little bit of God's timing that this is what our family needed at this time.
Dani, Lincoln Arneal again. You kind of, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but in your last contract you negotiated with Louisville, you put in a buyout clause with exception for Nebraska too. Is that kind of a red flag saying, hey, I'm interested, remember me over here? Or what was the rationale behind putting that clause in with Nebraska in their contract?
I think that was more discussions with Josh, the AD at Louisville, and you know, and I wanted to make sure that I did not take Nebraska off the list of my opportunities, but I also knew that I wanted to be true to Louisville, but unless something at Nebraska came up, and I think Josh did the right thing, and he talked about a lot of the right thing to do, to almost like a reward. We're gonna honor, or we're gonna give you this great contract, but we understand that Nebraska is a special place to you, and we don't want to close any doors for you.
Hey, Coach, Nate Johnson with Channel 8 News. Thinking about kind of Coach Cook this past season, kind of dipping into the social media field a little bit. How do you balance, you know, being a coach, being a mentor, a motherly figure, kind of all in one a little bit?
I'm still figuring that out. So I have not learned the right way to balance it all. You know, and I think it's just a lot of, you got to say no sometimes, and then you got to pick and choose what's important to you. But again, I'm figuring that out, learning on the way. And what's amazing about having great staff is it allows you to do that, and a team that understands. And I told the team on day one, like, I'm really transparent And for that, I think that builds a lot of trust. And so they're going to know what I'm missing for. I'm not afraid to tell them, look, I'm going on a vacation. Like, that's okay, So I think that transparency really helps give you the confidence to be able to do things that are balanced life outside of volleyball.
Jacob Badil with Hale Varsity. Can you kind of walk us through the process of getting Jalen and Kelly and Lindsay back on board, your connections with them, and then maybe the next steps in terms of potentially filling out your coaching staff?
I think Jalen, Kelly, and Lindsay, they love Nebraska. And, I think they, again, want to see this team accomplish goals that they've set, years ago. And I've known all of them. Lindsay was actually a volunteer coach when I was a player, and then she was the director of ops when I coached here. Kelly I coached for most of her career, I think all but 1 year. And then Jalen and I have gotten to know each other really well, just out recruiting and working USA camps. So I knew that it would be a good fit to keep everybody together. And I think John also helps that too, letting them know that he believes it would be a good fit. So it really wasn't much convincing. As far as the next staff member, I'm going to take my time. There's some amazing people in this program already that have put in some work that could potentially fill that. But I've gotten the green light from Troy. If there's, if we want to make a change or add a staff member, that we'll do that. But I'm not in a hurry to do that.
Amy, just again, with it being National Girls and Women in Sports Day yesterday, what would you tell 9, 10-year-old Dani about just how things have gone and where you're continuing to head?
I would tell 10-year-old Dani to always dream big and not give up, and make sure that you are prepared, or that you can handle the good and the bad times, and also to remind her that in sports there's a lot of high highs and a lot of low lows, but at the end of the day, this is a game that brings so many people joy and love, and it can unite people. It's such an amazing opportunity to be a big part in the sports world.
Kevin Suits again, Dani. John, when he announced his retirement last week, he said something about the new challenges in volleyball are for you to figure out. What are they?
I just think the changing landscape of college athletics in general, don't think you can pinpoint one thing. It's just like there's something new. There's new rules changing. There's transfer portal. There's NIL. There's rev share. And literally you'll get an update every day that it changed. So I think it's just keeping up with the changes and being able to navigate those. That's why being at a place like Nebraska is really, if it's an advantage, because I think we're always one step ahead and thinking about all these changes, what could happen next.
Brent Wagner again. What ways do you hope that you and the program can honor John Cook and what he's built as you go forward now?
I think the best way to honor what John's built is to continue to show the product on the court. So win games, win championships, and, play with joy. And I know there's going to be some really fun things planned this fall to honor John. And, we're going to be the proudest parts of those plans. But number one will be winning. And I know he would have loved to go out with the national championship, but I also know that he will be just as happy watching this team win one in December if it comes to that.
All right, we will conclude there, and we'll bring up the players next. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks.
From the left, we have Andy Jackson, Bergen Riley, Harper Murray, and Rebecca Alec. Questions for the student athletes?
Okay. Amy Just, Lincoln Journal Star. for any and all of you, just what was your reaction last week to the news of John retiring and Dani being your coach?
I can go. I mean, I think it was all of the emotions. I mean, we found out within a span of 2 minutes that Coach was leaving and Dani was coming, and so it was a lot of sadness that Coach was leaving, but also just appreciation for what he has done for our time with him. And then 30 seconds later, we found out we have Dani, and that, I mean, I think we all knew that that was just the perfect fit, and so we were super excited right off the bat, but it was tough. It was feeling a roller coaster of emotions in a short period of time, but now that we're here and we have Dani here, I think it's just a lot of joy and excitement for the future.
Lincoln Arnold, Huskers Illustrated. Andy, John talked about that the team kind of went back into away for 5 minutes. What was those discussions like, and what happened during that time frame?
Yeah, so after Coach told us, obviously we all did our thing. We talked to him for a little bit. Troy talked, and then we all just consecutively agreed, like, let's just go take 5 minutes. And when we went into our locker room, we just talked about, this is, like Bergen said, a roller coaster of emotions, but we're going to get through this together, and how do we support Dani in the way that she needs to be supported? And it's going to be all 13 of us and our support staff and Dani all together. And so we just wanted to really make sure that we were all on the same page, and we were going to do what it took to support Dani and support each other during this big shift.
Rebecca, native Nebraskan, to have one of Nebraska's own come back, lead the program. Well, first off, what do you know about Dani when you were growing up, and what does it mean to have a native Nebraskan leading this program?
Yeah, so okay, I'll just get I don't know this is. But she actually recruited my older sister. She was in my house at one point, but I was nothing but in middle school, so I was kind of oblivious to it all. And I also ran into her at a libero camp. She stopped me. She goes, "What are you doing at a libero camp?" And I was like, "I don't know. I want to learn how to play volleyball." And so, it was a familiar face, and all I ever heard was great things from her. So that's what I know about her. And just also, it piqued my interest before I ever even thought of John leaving, was that I heard Dani Busboom, coach of Louisville, mentioned in there that Nebraska head volleyball coach position opens up. She's going. I thought that was interesting as I was going into my junior year. I was like, huh. And now here we are, and I mentioned that in our meeting when she called it just for us, that, to be upfront with the team that you're currently coaching, that there is another team that still has your heart, speaks volumes about her commitment to Nebraska even after she left. And, for me, change is hard. It's really hard. I loved everything John Cook stood for because he's very traditional. I mean, we still tuck our jerseys in. We're not changing the design anytime soon. I mean, I don't know if Dani has other ideas. But, there was tradition. And I was scared because it's like, at first it was, guys, I'm retiring, I'm leaving. And then shortly Dani was coming, and there was this relief. And she even called us that same day. And I told her, I'm like, I'm happy it's you. It was a relief, and it feels good to know that she's been through a weird change while she was in college for John Cook, so she understands that. She's played here, she's from here, and I truly believe that we're in really good hands.
Abby Barmer with Husker Online. Bergen, you mentioned that Dani was the perfect fit here. Why?
Yeah, I think, like it's been mentioned, she's from here, she played here, she knows what it takes, and that's something that unless you've played at Nebraska, you don't really know it. And so she can coach with that in the back of her mind. And obviously she took Louisville from where it was however many years ago to national championships in a pretty short period of time. And so she has proven herself as a coach and just obviously as a player, as an athlete. She's just a Nebraskan, and you can tell. And I'm not a Nebraskan, but I can kind of pick them out, and you can tell that she's just a Nebraskan at heart. And like Becca said, she even cared about Nebraska while she was at other places, and that just shows a lot about how she's going to coach us and how she's going to care for us.
Harper, John talked about how he met with you before the rest of the team, and you said you were emotionally devastated. How long did it take for you to process this? Are you still processing the change, and what's kind of your reaction, first impression of Dani?
Yeah, well, honestly, I can't lie. Like, when he asked me to come meet, I was mad at him for making me come to the gym on my off day. And I sat in his office, and I had never seen the look on his face. I thought something bad had happened, and he had to be the one to tell me. And obviously, he ended up telling me that he was retiring, and I just burst out in tears. And he's done a lot for me, and honestly, I was in shock, but I think I process things pretty fast, and then I start to go into denial a little bit. And I called my mom after I met with him, and I just sat up in his office area for an hour until the team got to the gym and we had to go meet with them. So I had a little bit of time to process, and it was really hard at first, and I was really upset for the 2 days like after. But I mean, I trust Coach with Dani, and I believe that he's going to put us in the best position possible to win, even if he's not here. And I think that makes us all feel a little bit better that we trust him, and we know that he's not just going to hand us off to somebody he doesn't believe is going to set us up to be successful. And like Andy said, we talked in that meeting about how we're going to support Dani in the way that she needs, and we also talked about how we're going to respect her and respect Coach's decision and respect Dani, because she's earned that respect the past 8 years at Louisville. So we're excited for Dani, obviously, but it's been a whirlwind of emotions, but we're excited, and it's awesome that we have Dani here.
It's a huge change, but some things aren't changing. Jalen and Kelly and Wish are coming back. What does that mean to you guys?
Jalen, Kelly, Wish, Nebraska Volleyball isn't Nebraska Volleyball without them. So I know we're super grateful that they're still with us, and obviously that is a testament to Dani and Coach's loyalty to our staff and to our program, and I know we're super lucky to still have them in general, whether it was Dani or Coach. Who else? The three of them under Coach and under Dani now are the best coaches in the country, and we're really lucky to have them on our staff. So I'm super grateful that they're staying, and I know the rest of the team is, but I think it just really goes to show how much loyalty Dani has to this program and how much trust she has in Coach for having them on staff and keeping them here.
Andy, what does it say about the team culture that no one's transferring? I mean, a lot of people leave programs, but all 13 members are out there, and all the commits are saying they're still coming here. What does it say about the culture of the program that no one's left?
I think it obviously shows that we have a very strong team culture, and it's something that our team really prides ourselves on, is having a good team culture. And I think it also just shows that we have that ultimate trust, and that's something that we always talk about, and it's something we work really, really hard to achieve. And like Harper said, we can trust Coach that he's going to leave us with the best fit possible, and obviously Dani is that for us, and so we trust him. All 13 of us do, and we know that she's going to take us to where we need to go and to win the Big Ten and win national championships. And so I think these past couple weeks have just really reflected our team culture and our culture as a program, because everyone has still held themselves to such a high standard, and we're continuing to do the exact same things that we've done in the past. And with all these big shifts, everyone stayed on their stuff and just stayed motivated, and we're still hungry, and we're really, really excited to work with Dani. And so I think that we've all reflected the program very well these past few weeks, and we're going to continue to do that.
Andy, Kendi, KETV, Rebecca, for you, kind of building on this, can something like this, obviously you've been through this off-season stuff before, but can something like this kind of reinvigorate you guys at this stage and kind of light even a bigger fire than you've already had?
Oh, absolutely. It's kind of hard to say that one extra thing is already going to ignite that fire again. Change is hard, but I thought it was kind of interesting that she mentioned she might change the practice plan, and I thought that was crazy, but I'm excited. It'll be fun. But yeah, I mean, it's just the passing of the torch. I think everyone in this room, and honestly Husker Nation, fully understands the type of shoes that she has to fill. And I don't know, I'm excited. It's kind of hard to put into words. To be honest, the seniors are still on my heart from last year. And as of right now, this is my senior year. So I've been having a fire, and I'm really excited to do it with you guys. And my mom loves Dani. My mom's pretty picky. So, yeah, I'm just excited. This is the year of hope, and I think big things are going to happen. Yeah.
Bergen, obviously you guys are going through a big transition, but you also have 5 freshmen coming in who were fully expecting to work with John Cook, and now they have a new head coach, and they're living in a different state, most of them. So have you guys kind of wrapped your arms around them?
Yeah, that was one of the things we mentioned right after Coach had told us, and we went into the locker room to talk, it was hard on the freshmen, and we understood that because they committed to Coach, and they thought they were coming here to play under Coach, and he's a legend. Everyone would love to say that they played under him, and we understood that, and so we kind of just said that right away, and we said, like, we're here for you guys. You can come hang out at me in Harper's apartment. You can, like, whatever you guys need, we're here for you. Because I don't know, I remember my first couple weeks here, it was just a whirlwind. Like, you have meetings every day, you have to go to the doctor, get your physical, you have literally everything you could imagine. And they were starting to find a groove, and then this kind of happened. And so I think we all kind of understood that they were in a really tough place, and just wrapping our arms around them and telling them that we're going to get through it together. And they all immediately were just, again, committed to Dani, even though they were really upset. So just, again, shows the culture of our team and the kind of people that Coach and Jalen and Kelly recruit. It just, everyone loves Nebraska even before they've even played here.
Rebecca, why did you think you guys were meeting that day when you had to come?
We were told it has to do with revenue share, and we all thought we were going to get a bump. You know, it's the year of hope. Andy and I have this joke, it's the year of hope. Good things are happening. I'm a Catholic, Jubilee year, so I'm excited, man. And then an atom bomb, so yeah, sorry. I mean, it's pretty much public now, so. But yeah, we thought it was just going to be like a business type of meeting, most likely a breakdown of the schedule. Sometimes those type of changes happen, so it's easier to have everyone present. Wish apologized about lying. Yeah, so that's what the original meeting we thought was going to be.
Like when you walked back out to the parking lot after all that happened, like how are you feeling overall about the future?
To be honest, I was like taking a while to leave. We had that meeting for just the players, and a lot of encouraging words were said, but you know, I really wanted to win one with him. He's a legend. I've always respected like what he's done, and what he's given to the state of Nebraska. It's always meant a lot to me that we go to small towns and we have in-person admission to these small towns. We're playing in local high schools. It's really easy to be from a small town and feel forgotten about. And the fact that we bring one of the most publicized college programs to these small towns so these little girls, kids, farmers can have a front row seat to a volleyball game, that meant a lot to me. I mean, he's not even from here, and he wears the boots, belts. He's full-on cowboy now. And so that meant a lot to me to come here and see that. And it sucks that I don't get to win one with him. But Andy, Harper, Bergen, every single one of them were like, you know, it's more than a trophy. You know, we have values. There's things that I tell my family, I tell myself when I'm praying, like dream big. You know, great ones adjust. So he's definitely left a print on my heart with that, and I'm grateful for that. But I took a minute. I kind of cleaned myself up after crying, and then I saw Kelly and Jalen, and I just kind of fell to pieces again. Kelly was cracking a joke. She's like, maybe now isn't the best time to drive. But it was okay. I cleaned myself up and made it home safe. And yeah, it was hard. Honestly, the walk felt forever to my car, and then I was in the car, and it's just hard. Change is hard. But again, I want to reaffirm that I truly believe we're in good hands.
Andy, this was already going to be a big year of transition, stepping away from the leadership that you guys got from Lexi and Merritt last season. How does this change underscore what's in store for all four of you, I guess, but I was thinking mostly of the three sophomores becoming juniors as far as stepping into leadership roles, because now you have this additional change to deal with?
Yeah, obviously it was already a big shift, losing 5 seniors and Lexi and Merritt as our captains, and they worked really, really hard to build and uphold our culture, and that's obviously something I've already touched on. It's something that we really, really focus on here at Nebraska. And us three in our class, even Lainey, like we knew coming in that we were going to have a bigger role on this team now, and we weren't going to be sophomores anymore. We are upperclassmen, and the freshmen are going to be looking to us to uphold that culture and hold those roles and be there for them. And so now with this big shift, I don't think it changes that. I just think that there's just a small addition to it, but we're still going to keep all the same things, and we're going to still work super hard to uphold what generations before us have built, and Lexi and Merritt worked so hard to upkeep, and just continue to do what Nebraska Volleyball does and represent ourselves in a way that we should represent the program and the women that came before us, and now how we should represent Dani.
Harper, last time Nebraska had a coaching change, they won a national title in the first year with their new coach. Have you looked back in history at all, trying to repeat history this year?
You know, if Lindsay Krause was here, she would know that. She knows all those facts. But, you know, like Becca touched on this, like obviously a lot of us wanted to win a national championship with Coach. But I think the way that we can reframe that in our head is now we can win one for him. And I think that's the best way to approach this year. And, you know, we can win one for Coach. We can win one for Dani. We can win one for all the little girls that look up to us in Nebraska and around the country. So I think that's how we need to reframe it for this year. And, you know, we talk about stories every year. Becca called me, what was it, like a week ago? And we were talking about our freshman year we lost in the national championship. Texas had an unbelievable year. This past year, Penn State's coach was going through hell. And they pulled out and they won a national championship for her. And they had a really strong why. And this year we have a coaching change, and now we have the opportunity to win a national championship with Dani and carry on Coach's legacy. So I think that's how we need to go and approach this season for sure.
Any final questions? All right. Thank you all for coming today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.